Hello, welcome to the OSU Sports Extra podcast. I'm Patrick Prince, joined by Kelly Hines, as always. We're coming at you on a Tuesday. We needed a whole day to process all the crazy OSU news from yesterday, coupled with TU hiring a football coach, Kelly. I don't know if I've had many days in my career like yesterday, but we're gonna stick to OSU news here. We know why Braylin Presley left because he told us. Spencer Sanders did what a lot of people do, released a statement on Twitter that he's entering the portal. We'll get to Braylin in a minute. Why do you think Spencer left?
I think he probably views it as he's maxed out where he is. Isn't that why anyone makes any move? Like, you don't see things left on the table for you to accomplish that are maybe realistic for you. You know, I think he came back for this season because he thought they might be able to make another run at a Big 12 championship, maybe get into the playoff picture. I think he sees that as maybe not super realistic for next season. So, you know, at this point, nothing is surprising in college football, but like this especially was not surprising to me. Like, especially when you look at how the season has gone, not just the losses, but you know, he's had this shoulder issue for seems like forever. It's been a very long season. And he just didn't seem especially happy during the season anyway. And he's just kind of a different sort of personality. He is super competitive. And so a part of me thought, well, maybe he will want to come back and see what else can be done. But I mean, realistically, I just that didn't seem like it was going to happen that way. So I thought he'd either start preparing for the NFL or look at other options. And preparing for the NFL when you've got a shoulder injury, you didn't play well in your last season, that didn't seem like a good option. So I think it probably makes sense given, like, I wouldn't say I don't think any of us really know Spencer that well. He definitely keeps like the media like at a distance, but just knowing what I know about him, it's not surprising that he's like, I'm sort of over this. Like, I'd like to see what else is out there. So I like that players have the freedom to do that, but it is, you know, obviously for fans, it's hard to swallow. But as we've talked about before, there are fans who are like ready for him to move on. So maybe it's not the best. It's not the worst thing that could happen. It's probably not the best either. I don't know.
You know, tell me when someone enters the portal, especially a quarterback, especially a highly successful quarterback, I think people, and I certainly do, maybe you kind of think it's head coach driven, like they're mad at the head coach, But in this, I mean, and as you
It's
kind of
hard to say. I mean, everyone.
Well, no. It's hard to say, but I mean, if you just keep it on the field, I mean, you know, he being Spencer Sanders didn't have much of a running game this year. As you said, he got beat up a lot. The offensive line was kind of a work in progress all year. I mean, like you said, once you start laying out all the reasons, it makes sense.
Yeah, and he had free reign. I mean, he was able to do things. He had, I mean, even when he wanted to play and probably shouldn't play, you know, he was like, put me in, coach. And they're like, whatever you want, Spencer. So, you know, I think that there's something to be said for that, you know, I don't think they could have done anything else to like make him happy or make it a better experience for him other than to maybe have equal talent around him. But that's somewhat, I'm not gonna say it's out of their control, but things have to fall into place just right for that to happen. And that has absolutely not happened. So I feel like there shouldn't really be hard feelings on either side. I don't know. That's probably easy for me to say when I'm not like involved in it, but you know, he was in Stillwater for 5 years, hopefully got a degree out of the experience. And it's just time for him to move on to another chapter. And I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that. So, you know, I saw a lot of like national media type people who were like shocked by it. I'm like, no, it's really not shocking. Like at this point, like anyone, especially after 7-5 season, like wouldn't shock me if the whole team left. I mean, honestly, like it was a rough year. Like, I'm not saying they should leave or they would have reason to leave. It's just players want to be successful. They want to win championships. They want to be surrounded by talent. They want to have a positive experience, and this season wound up not being a positive experience. And it's unfortunate that this is the era that we're in, but it's too tempting to not leave, especially if you could get better NIL money somewhere else. Like, OSU's players just have never really like been able to generate that same sort of income for themselves that other schools have been able to do, it, other conferences, all of those sorts of things. And if you didn't have the best experience and you think that it could be better somewhere else, I think we see all the time it's not better somewhere else. The grass is not greener, but that's for them to figure out. I mean, they can see how that goes. I think it's difficult for guys who, unless they're a skill position player, I think it's difficult when they have 1 year left and they go somewhere. I think you're going to find that it's not going to be a better situation. You would have played a lot more if you had stayed where you were. But that's for them to figure out. And that's I guess the good thing about the portal is, like, players can basically do whatever they want, and it may not work out well for them, but that was their decision.
Yeah. All right, Braylin Presley. So he actually gave the Tulsa World an interview and spoke about why he decided to leave. You and I talked about it a little bit this season. Are you surprised that given their struggles in the running game, were you surprised they never gave Braylin at least much of a look in the backfield?
I mean, if he hadn't been a freshman, I think it either would have gone differently for him, or I'd feel differently about it. Mike Gundy has just never really been like super high on playing freshmen. And obviously you can make the case for, like, Ollie Gordon played more as a freshman. Ollie Gordon had a grown man body, like probably in junior high. Like, he's just a different type of running back. And as much as we know about Braylin and his ability, and we've seen it, I'm sure the coaches know too, that I don't know that they knew exactly how that was going to translate. I would have liked to have seen him get a little bit more of an opportunity. Let's just see, like, what do you have to lose at this point? You're already losing games. You're already not accomplishing anything. I just was curious to see how it would go. But the offensive line, I mean, I guess when you're a smaller guy, you need a smaller hole to slip through. So it may have been more of a possibility, but the problem was the offensive line. And maybe, you could say, some people might say play calling and that sort of thing that could be an issue. I don't say that though. But I feel like Braylin definitely could have played more. And I just thought it was unfortunate for him to, if he's not going to redshirt, you want to see him play more than that. Like, maybe, right. Or even just save him for those 4 games and let him loose in those 4 games. Like, it definitely seems like it could have gone differently. And I just feel like that's unfortunate but maybe he wasn't going to fit into what they were going to do long term. I don't know. We'll never know how it could have turned out. I feel like it could have turned out a lot differently, and it could have been a really good situation for Braylin and for the team. But yeah, it's just disappointing to see it happen that way. Like, we love to see our local guys like on the teams that we cover, and we feel a connection to them, even though I wouldn't say that I know Braylin very well. But I just thought it could go differently. And, it may have been, I don't know. It's hard to know how it could have gone, but you would at least like to know, to have seen it like a little bit more, because the opportunities that he got didn't really showcase anything because they were so limited.
Yeah, all good points, and you're right. We'll never know, but it would have been nice just to see him get a look, just a couple of carries. It's just that's just how it is with Mike Gundy. Like, he's so set on what they're going to do. Like, I mean, you could ask him about. It was like Ollie Gordon. You could ask him about Ollie Gordon in August. He's like, "Oh, I don't really like to talk about freshmen." And I'm like, you talked about this guy when you signed him. Like, how is this any different? Like, why would you not like talk about a guy that's on your team? Like, you don't feel like confident in someone you brought in. Like,
I don't know. He's just very like structured with like what he does. Like just like whenever someone asked about the schedule of practice leading up to the bowl game, he's like, we're gonna do it the same way we've done it the last 17 years. It's like, okay. He's just, he's just very set in his ways. And I think there's something to be said for like sticking to what works, but like if it's not working, maybe be a little bit more open to alternatives. And that's just, it was very clear that they were not going to do that this season. Like, you could ask him, well, have you thought about doing something different with whatever? And he'd be like, no, we're not just going to like throw out the whole playbook because things aren't going well. And I'm like, oh, well, things aren't going well. Like maybe you should consider other things, but that's just not how he is. But he's won a lot of games, so he makes a lot of money. So what do I know?
Yeah, there you have it. Well, okay. So in the midst of all this, we have a bowl game. It's kind of funny, the things that just get lost in the midst of breaking news. I mean, in there, Mike Gundy has had a couple of seasons like this, where maybe they were a few games above 500 and then won a bowl game, and you go in the offseason feeling pretty good about yourself. But given that, losing Spencer Sanders, I mean, I don't know. What do you make of this bowl game? I mean, here, I'll just let you take it. What do you think?
I think it just depends on whether guys who are in the portal are going to play. I just feel like it's going to be a big storyline with every team. I think it just makes more sense when guys who are in the portal, like, just go ahead and move on. And it just is kind of odd to me when they play for a team that they don't want to play for anymore. Like, I just think that makes it weird. So, I know like last year there were guys in the portal who played in OSU's bowl game, but that was a little bit different situation. They were playing in an important bowl game, Guaranteed Rate Bowl, which most people hadn't heard of before this week. Like, I don't know that is a big enough draw, but if those guys are practicing, which there are guys practicing right now trying to decide if they want to stay on the team. It's just December is a weird month now, and we just have to accept that. I don't remember what the question was, but yeah, they do have a bowl game. They're playing a Wisconsin team that has its own stuff going on. Like they fired their coach in October, had an interim coach the rest of the season, still managed to get to bowl eligibility, then decided not to keep that guy as the head coach, brought in another head coach, and the interim head coach is trying to decide if he wants to stay on and in what capacity that would be, while they're also preparing for a bowl and not really knowing what the staff is going to look like, trying to like merge like the old staff and the new staff. Luke Fickell's like, I don't know how I'm going to be coaching this team, what I'm going to be doing for the bowl game, but I just feel like I should be around. So that's an odd situation. Their quarterback is in the portal. So I guess everybody's dealing with their own stuff. So, and OSU, I'm keeping this handy.
Oh, I saw that on Twitter.
Tracker. I've already gotten stuff all over it because it's been a whole 24 hours that I've been doing this. So I should have gotten it laminated or something, but then I need like one of those plastic protectors, Anyway, so they have a lot of guys marked off on this, and Mike Gundy, when talking about whether he would have players in the portal, available and participate in the bowl game, he almost made it sound like they needed those guys because they have limited depth because of, they still have guys injured.
So are you saying Spencer Sanders could and might play in the bowl game?
Robert Allen reported the other day that he expected Spencer Sanders to play in the bowl game regardless of what happened. But I think that's weird. I guess if he wants to, but like, isn't that weird? I mean,
yeah, it is.
It's like going out with your ex after you've broken up. Like, aren't we done here? Didn't we I feel like we're done here. Maybe that's not the exact comparison, but it feels weird.
It feels weird. You're not wrong. And I as you said, Spencer's been there a long time. He's if he's not leaving on bad terms, which we don't know either way, then maybe you stick it out with your Cowboy teammates one more game. I mean, obviously their chances of winning with him are much greater.
But
maybe he didn't want to leave his teammates high and dry. I don't know.
shouldn't this experience be about building for next year? Like you had a disappointing season. You're in a bowl that most people have never heard of, which I'm super excited about going to, by the way. Like legitimately, like that's not me being sarcastic. It's in Phoenix.
I can't tell sometimes. You're being legit.
No, like I mean,
Okay.
we can discuss that later. But shouldn't this be about, wouldn't it be a good experience for the other quarterbacks on the roster, like to play in a bowl game? I feel like they've earned that right. They participated in this season. They were part of, I mean, it didn't always go well, but they were out there for some games. I just don't know what you benefit having Spencer participate. I guess if he wants to, like, that's great. But if I don't know why he would want to do that. It's I don't know.
So if you're the head coach, are you saying you would rather give Garrett Rangel the ball over Spencer Sanders if it was your call?
I mean, you probably want, no offense to like either of the other quarterbacks, but like, if you want to go out there and compete and have your best weapons with you, like you probably are going to want Spencer to play if he's healthy. I just don't know, like big picture, if that is really what you're wanting to. I mean, obviously you want to win the game. So if that's what you're focused on, then I guess have a guy who's on his way out. But it also gets kind of murky, like, when you start, like, I don't think that they're going to want Braylin Presley to be practicing with them right now. And when he's like made it clear that he didn't like how things went down, like, it's just like, I don't know how they deal with these things, but that's why they get paid a lot of money to figure this out. I just don't think it's super easy to figure out. I guess if someone's leaving on good terms, like Kenyon Williams is a guy who's super respected, has been in the program for several years, was a team captain last year. Like he's transferring so he can have more opportunities. A guy like that, I see nothing wrong with if he wants to play in the bowl game, but you can't say, oh, you can stay, you can't, like that gets more complicated. It's just, everyone is in a different situation. And some guys are going to be in the portal because they didn't play as much. And that's obviously different than, Spencer's situation is obviously unique. It's not unique to OSU because it's happening everywhere. Starting quarterbacks all over the country are getting into the portal and looking for a different place to play. But I don't know how you can navigate these decisions like easily, but maybe that's why you just leave it up to the players. If they want to play, then I guess let them play.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. Mike Gundy has said that he's not a big portal guy. Do you think he's going to have to change that way of thinking?
I think if you're going to have quite a few guys in the portal, like you're going to have to get aggressive with using the portal. Like, I don't think that you can bring it and unless you like feel good about like junior college type options. Like if you feel good about being able to replace, who's a good example? Like Trace Ford, that's someone who's going to be really difficult to replace. Like you're not going to replace a Trace Ford or Dominic Richardson with someone who's coming out of high school. But if you're able to bring in a junior college guy who you feel really good about, then maybe you don't have to get, an FBS transfer. I just feel like you're not going to be able to easily replace the types of guys who are in the portal. Some years you can just bring in a normal class, but with the guys who are in the portal this year, I think you're going to have to get more aggressive with using the portal to your advantage. Like it gives, it takes, you got to figure it out.
I mean, it's just reality now, right? I mean,
But I mean, to Mike Gundy's point, like it's tough because you don't have as much time to do your homework on guys. The one time it can help is if it's someone you recruited out of high school who's in the portal and you're like, oh, I already know that kid, their family, I know what they're all about. I've already done my homework on them. And this is an opportunity to get them the second or maybe third time around. And I think that's when it is easier because you have guys in the portal who, okay, Chico's here. Okay.
siding. There it is.
Yeah. You have guys, sorry. You have guys who you're not going to have as much time to really like investigate. So That's when it becomes difficult in December, when you're trying to make rapid decisions and you don't want to sacrifice your culture and all of those things, but you have to figure out, how you're going to replace some really important guys on your roster.
Yeah.